Hey y'all, what's happening?
Hi, everyone.
Hey everybody, this is Going On Daily. What is happening?
What's
We're,
going
we're getting
on?
into it again. We're getting into it again. Let's look at this. Season 3, episode 129. Wow.
Wow.
Laura, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. My name is Lana, if you have any interest in that. And this is Laura. I'm hanging out with Laura on Saturday. Well, it is a Saturday, but who knows what day it'll be when you hear this. So sorry. But yeah, we are still in Canada week, and I think we'll be wrapping it up today. That's our
Absolutely.
theme, right? And so that's pretty cool. And let me pull my notes because, of course, they're not right in front of me. But yeah, gonna thank a couple of people or a couple of we gotta pay some bills. Let's put it that way. We're gonna thank you to WDJY because they're airing us Wednesday from 9 to 10 p.m., Thursday, Friday, Sunday from 1 to 3 p.m. You'll catch us there, right? So we've got to thank these guys for putting us on air, which is awesome. We're
Absolutely.
gonna thank Mace Fitness and Soul Spectives Institute for sponsoring us
Thank you.
because that's awesome, right? Keeping us going. We're going global, I think here.
Yeah.
And what's happening with the group is we're very shell shocked right now because we're like not. Everything's happening very fast, and so
It
we're a
is
little
such
busy.
an exciting time. Absolutely. We are all shell shocked. You are
It's very
100%
crazy. So,
correct.
we're going from what our normal show was, and we're trying to make sure that we tailor it for where it's going to air, and we're all getting our schedules together and all that fun stuff, right? So, if we look like we've just been through like a tragedy while we're on the air, we're like doing this. That's why,
That's why. Yep.
you know.
Looking like
So
a tragedy.
we're gonna try to do it as organized as we can here, and still make it fun for ourselves and you guys who are listening or watching, right? So our first topic today, right? That's gonna be Laura's topic, and we're
Yeah.
we're gonna find out about Howie Mandell, which is pretty cool.
Yes, absolutely. So, a little unknown fact that nobody knows about Howie Mandel for sure is that one of my closest friends in the world is actually his niece. So I know Howie Mandel very well. I know so much about him. I always love to know famous people when they are good people. It makes me really happy. And I just
Awesome.
need to let the world know that he is such a good person. My best friend always talks about what an amazing uncle he is, how much she helped his family, her family, what she would do for her family during COVID. He made sure that she was able to see her mother, who was passing away from cancer, to ensure that everything happened. He is
Hmm.
just such a good man. And she always says that he is the absolute best. So I wanted to start this and just start it with
Yeah.
saying that he is such a great guy and I love hearing about it. And I did just speak to him for 30 minutes last week at my
Okay.
friend's party. And he did seem like an amazing guy. I'm not going to lie, but hearing it from my best friend, who is his niece, obviously has more weight. But he is an amazing guy, and was really fun learning a lot about him. And I am a very quirky person, and
Hmm.
he actually called me a quirky person, which coming from him,
Yeah, that's
just to
awesome.
show how quirky I really am, right? Like
Right, like that's saying something.
that's saying something. But that was years ago. But what happened when I first met him, the first interesting fact, which most people do know about him, is that he's a big germaphobe and he has OCD
Hmm.
and he will not shake anyone's hand. So I get very nervous about meeting any type of celebrity. So it could be a D-list celebrity, and I get really excited and really nervous. So meeting Howie Mandel, I was really, really excited.
Hmm.
So everyone beforehand told me, whatever you do not shake his hand. Do not shake his hand. He is
Hmm.
a germaphobe. Do not shake his hand.
Right.
So of course I go up to meet him beforehand, before one of his shows. And I'm like, Howie, it's so nice to meet you. And then I said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know you don't shake hands. I know you don't shake hands. And he said to his niece after, he said, I could definitely tell your best friend's really nice, but she's definitely really quirky. So Howie Mandell called me quirky, and you know that you are very, very quirky if Howie Mandell called you quirky. Uh,
Yeah.
but yes, he is a huge germaphobe, and because of that, he always fist bumps instead of shakes hand. And a lot of people told me about that, but I get very nervous to meet famous people, and I was very nervous the first time I met him. I improved the second time I met him, which was last weekend. Um,
Hmm.
and he was very nice last weekend too, and spoke to my kids and everything like that.
Yeah.
So he is a great guy. But here are some unexpected things that I learned about him too,
Hmm.
that hopefully are new to viewers as well. So he actually has always been a jokester his whole entire life,
Hmm.
and he got expelled from school because he pretended to be a school administrator, and he hired a construction company to come to school and start, and he pretended like he was a school administrator
Oh.
and started doing some, so he, when they figured out it was him, he got expelled. So he was always been a jokester, he's always
Hmm.
been funny. So his when he was a stand-up comedian, he used to take a surgical latex glove and put it over his head.
Hmm. I remember that.
Yeah, and blow it through his nostrils until it blew up.
Hmm.
And that was his signature joke. The way that his career started was actually on a dare, which I didn't know. But he was in LA, and his friends, I guess he always made his friends laugh. So his friend said to him on a dare,
Hmm.
why don't you just get up and try? It was amateur night. And he got up, and he was a carpet salesman at the time, had nothing to do with comedy.
Hmm.
But there was an agent, and he heard him, and he gave him a TV gig on a game show host that night as game show. So you never know
Crazy. Yeah,
who's
you really,
watching.
that's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, so it all started as a dare, and then I was reading about the backstory of Bobby's World, which I loved.
Hmm.
You might have been a little, I don't know if you were as into Bobby's World, but for me,
I
I was
think
really,
it's, yeah, I think I'm a little old for that,
yeah,
but
a
that's
little
okay.
older.
I remember it. I heard of it. I had never watched it.
Yeah, I know you're a little older, so I don't know, but I was very into it, and it was about, and it was funny how he got the voice for it. It was a very distinct voice that was
Hmm.
very hard. I don't know if you remember, it's very hard to do. And it actually was made because he was at an 11-year-old birthday party, a real
Hmm.
11-year-old birthday party. He started choking. And when he was choking, instead of making choking sounds, for some reason, that voice started coming out.
Okay.
And everyone thought he was being
Hmm.
funny, but he actually was choking. Like he thought he was choking, and he was just, but
Isn't
like,
that life? Like you're dying, and everybody's like, "That's a funny. That's good."
yeah,
Kind
I
of
had a
like,
story like
yeah,
that.
that's crazy.
So everyone thought he was joking, and he had this distinct voice,
Hmm.
and it kept coming out. And then he realized, he figured out later how he could do that voice again. And then Fox Kids just came up to him and said, "Do you have any idea for a cartoon character?"
Hmm.
And he decided, he said the voice for Bobby's World, and that's how it all started. And it became a huge show. And it all started because he accidentally almost choked at an 11-year-old birthday party. So you never know what
You
is going
really don't. That's
to
like
be
totally random.
totally random,
That's
right?
totally random, and that's pretty cool. No, I did not know that. I'm
Yeah,
not sure who else.
exactly.
I'm not sure if anybody else did. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. He's married to his high school sweetheart, which I always love those stories too. I
Hmm.
met her last weekend as well. She is lovely as well. And yeah, this is funny. He asked, "What's the secret to a happy marriage?" And he said, "I'm never home." So I thought that was funny what he said.
It's also
And
kind of
I've heard
true.
that from other people too, that
Oh
they say
yeah.
that. And some people then retire and they realize that it's a little different living with your spouse, I've heard.
Well, the
But
pandemic brought a lot of that out, right? Where people were like, "Oh, if we're in the same house all the time, this is like not a good marriage. Like, what makes it work is one of us is not here. Never."
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's actually interesting. One of my closest friends is a therapist,
Hmm.
and she said during COVID, her whole entire practice changed from like singles therapy, individual therapy to couples therapy, because
Yeah.
so many people needed couples therapy when we all had to live together in during
Every
COVID.
minute.
Yes, that marriage
especially with
therapy,
kids. Yeah.
especially with kids. Yes, absolutely. But we all survived. Seems like so long ago. I can't believe it was 6 years ago.
Some did not survive, but that's a whole nother podcast.
That is a whole nother podcast. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. A whole nother podcast.
There is such a thing as spending too much time together, for sure. You know what I mean? At least I think so. I'm sure there were people that would not agree with me, would argue with me.
Absolutely.
It's
No,
a hot take, but it's true, I think.
I agree. I love my husband a lot, and he works a lot of hours though. And when Howie Mandell said that, I was like, my husband and I don't fight. Maybe it's because he works so much. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, you need a little bit of, it needs to overlap, but not be like a circle for a Venn diagram, that kind of thing. But anyway, I'm so sorry. Let's get back to Howie.
Oh
But
yes,
yeah.
no problem. The last funny fact about Howie Mandel, which people might know because it was when he got on TikTok.
Yeah.
But he got on TikTok and he did this weird video because he didn't really know what he was doing, but people thought it was a pry that he was actually kidnapped. So people were actually fans were calling the police. And then he had to do another TikTok just saying, I just am really bad at TikTok.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
I was not kidnapped, yes. So those are some funny facts about Howie Mandel. But most important is he's a wonderful guy. And
well, that's good to know, because to be
yeah.
honest with you, there's a lot of celebrities out there that are not. And so it's good to know anybody in the business that's like halfway decent.
Exactly. I agree.
It's 100%. Definitely something we all need to know about because it's so rare, I think.
Exactly.
Right? And I'm sure he's watching. So I'm waiting for him to comment. But that's awesome. Yeah, I grew up in the Howie Mandel days, so I actually remember a lot of the stuff from like back in the 80s that I because I'm so old. Maybe me and probably Ron remember some of that stuff too. We're the old veterans on the scene here, so but yeah, that's pretty cool. That's awesome. Yes, he remembers it all. So I had to stop and say good morning to Kim and Hugo, who are participating today. They sent up some messages while we were talking, so I just wanted to say hi back.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for watching.
And hello. So what we want to do right here is make sure that we get all of our social media out to you guys. So we have a nice little video for you.
Watch us live at YouTube, Rumble, and Twitch at Rhode Island Broadcasting, X and Twitter at Broadcasting RI, Facebook at Going On Daily Morning Show. Listen to us on all of our audio platforms such as Spotify, Red Circle, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music at RI Broadcasting. You can also follow us on all of our socials at MeWe, TikTok, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Gab, Parler, and Space Hey at RI Broadcasting, and Reddit at RI-Broadcasting, and support the show on RhodeIslandBroadcasting.net. We thank you for listening, following, and watching.
That's it. That's all our social media. There's a lot of stuff going on. Right? Oh, so sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off. But yeah, the RhodeIslandBroadcasting.net is a good place to go if you missed any of that, just to make sure that you catch all of our socials there, and make sure you know where to go to follow us, because that ad was great, but it was also very fast. Some people may be drinking their coffee and being like, "Whoop, did I miss that?" So, and you go to RhodeIslandBroadcasting.net, and the next thing you want to do is do your Hall of Fame vote, right? So last month we had 80s movies. And this right here is the list underneath Laura and I, the Hall of Fame results for May. Wow, I actually had to think about what month it was. So Back to the Future won with 70%, Raiders of the Lost Ark 19, Weird Science got 8, Platoon got 3. I thought people were a little more into war movies than that, but who knows? And The Shining got 0. Now that's just not good. Now I'm a horror girl, so I'm very shocked. I'm kind of surprised that The Shining got 0 because it's a classic.
I like horror films as well. But
yeah. Oh, do you?
Back to the Future, so I'm happy. 70% is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is. And it's a good movie. I mean, I don't know how many times in a month that I watch Back to the Future, but it's a lot. I actually run into it a lot. I watch it a lot. I watch it. And so this is a Hall of Fame for June These are going to be and to me, I would assume that they're like sort of sitcoms for the African American, right? So we've got Sanford and Son, Good Times, The Jeffersons, Different Strokes, and What's Happening.
Mhm.
And you got to vote for one of those. And I don't know how you would do it, because I like watched all of these and I loved all of these. So I don't know how I would choose one. But the QR code between me and Laura here, right there. You click on that, it'll take you straight to the voting.
There you go.
And I don't know where we're at this point. It's very, very early in June, so I'm not sure how many votes we've got at this point. But I'm hoping. I think I'm hoping the Jeffersons is going to pull out on this.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Good Times and the
Jeffersons
Jeffersons are 50%. Those are actually my two favorites. But I can't really. I don't know. I can't really say I don't love any of them. I love every single one of them and watched them all. So I don't know.
Yeah.
If you can make a choice, yes. If you can make a choice, try. I know it's not going to be easy. So my story about Canada today is about a guy by the name of Misha Kleider. I'm not sure if anybody knows who that is. Have you heard of him? You probably did some research
before, but you know, I did my research for a while. Yes.
So I'll be sitting around. Yeah, I mean, I sort of sit around and I flip through YouTube, and you know, I do this research of stuff. I don't know. I'll go down a rabbit hole, and somehow or other, I ran into Misha Kleider. Now, Misha Kleider, he's a Vancouver filmmaker, and he's done a lot of things. Well, not a lot of things, but a few things. He's good. He's known for a few things. He's done a few different films in the past. And so let's see, you might know him for the Wacky Hustle, American Pie Presents the Book of Love. He's done a couple of other projects. But the most interesting project I found that he did was something called Streets of Plenty. I'm not sure if you've seen it. It would be 2010, I believe, that it was released. And right now you can get it on YouTube. That's where I found it. In 2010, it went through probably Art House or Sundance or whatever it did. And then probably went into streaming services and that sort of thing at the time. But you can probably find it pretty easily now if you look for it. The film centers on a 31-day experiment in which Kleider, he attempts to live as a homeless person in Vancouver's downtown east side. The project was conducted in lead up to the 2010 Winter Olympics at that time, when homelessness in Vancouver was receiving increased public attention. And to watch the film, if you ever get into one of these Facebook groups about your neighborhood, because homelessness is no joke right now,
Mm-hmm.
and you see people talking, you've got the people that are like, what are we going to do about this? This is terrible. You've got the people that are like, oh, everybody, I don't really care if you're homeless, but make sure you clean up your trash. You've got people that are wanting services for the homeless, but not in their neighborhood. We've got the NIMBY people. And so I don't think and I've never been through it myself, and I'm not sure if any of our podcast hosts have been through it, but I don't think that anybody understands the, okay, Ron, I don't think anybody understands like the actual spiral in which homelessness is. And so I believe the beginning of this, Misha Kleider's like in some fast food restaurant or whatever he is, and he's talking to some cop from the neighborhood, and he's going on and on about something, and the cop kind of said, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're making up stuff, or you don't really know the whole story. And he was doing one of these things like, oh, why don't they this, or why don't they that? I don't know. He was ranting about something. And he said, you would really have to be homeless. Try being homeless for a month and see whether you say stuff like that. And most people would be like, oh, they'd either double down on it or whatever. And in Misha's case, he went, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to get into all the details of it, but there's a very steady decline of things in homelessness that most people just don't know the details about. And so if you get a chance to watch this, it's really good to watch in the sense that it seems a whole lot more simple than it is to you when you're not going through it. And why people choose shelters, why people choose to skip shelters, and all the things that go on, things like the general malaise that happens when you go through homelessness, like a kind of like a I would say almost like a dog kennel where you go through like a type of thing where your food, you get sick and you can't, there's all kinds of things that happen, little details of things that happen, and a progression of it that, like, I guess a lot of people just don't get. So anyway, I found it fascinating for that reason, right? It was for him to give up his normal lifestyle and rely on services commonly used by homeless residents, including shelters and meal programs. So he takes everything off down to his underwear, takes his backpack, and just swims across a river, I believe in Toronto, that brings him into kind of like a homeless area. And he goes through about 3 days of, oh, I get this, I get that, I get to sleep here, this is great. And after about 3 days, it kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts to go through, the things that really start to happen. And he doesn't make it, let's put it this way, he doesn't make it through a month before he loses it, So it talks about homelessness, addiction, poverty, mental health challenges, social services, and public policy. They also get into some of the things that happen over the past 30 years from institutions, like how services changed for people, and how a lot of people that are homeless because there's really nowhere for them to, there's no services in place. I don't think mental institutions were a place that were good, but it was a thing that was in place at one point. And there should have been a substitute for that when that all went away. Because at some point somebody came in and knocked down all those buildings or cleaned them all out and said, this is not good. We're getting people are being abused and all kinds of stuff. So that happened. But then those people needed to have a supplemental direction, and there isn't one. And that has a lot to do with this. The interviews include figures such as Gabar Mate and Gregor Robinson. There's a couple of people in there that have been through it that say, I was in the social services system. I was a kid that was in adoption system, whatever it is, and how you can end up there and be there long term, and never really have a place as a home as a kid, and then kind of graduate into that. A major theme is the relationship between addiction and homelessness, which is very linked together if you don't know about it. The film highlights why some homeless individuals avoid shelters, which I said, citing concerns such as safety, overcrowding, and personal autonomy. And his experience led him to conclude that homelessness is often far more complex, right? That's the end game on this. It received attention and award nominations from the Canadian film industry at that time. There were critics that argued that because he wasn't truly homeless, he knew how the experiment would end, or he knew it would end at some point, and so it wasn't genuine. I don't know if I agree with that, because I'm not sure how it could be done the way it was done. I don't know how you can do that as a homeless person with the resources you have to make the documentary that he made and get it to where he got it to, or get it marketed and produced in the way that he did. His brother followed him all over the place, and his brother was not allowed to help him in any way, just film him. Wow. Anyway, others question whether using homeless services for a documentary project was appropriate. I can understand people arguing about that. Some people felt it focused too heavily on his personal journey, which I also understand. But I don't know that it's not personal for homeless. That's the thing.
I agree. I would think it would be personal. I think everyone's homelessness journey must be personal, and
I think it's different. That's the thing. In human beings, it's so easy for us to throw everybody in one pile. It really aggravates me, actually, because every single person's story is not the same story, and you have to deal with people on case by case.
Absolutely. And that's what usually sells, is people's stories. That's what people want to hear anyway.
Right.
The stories.
It makes it a personalized experience, and I think that helps people to want to understand it better, I guess, or at least that's how I felt. It remains relevant today because it sparked debate about how homelessness should be portrayed, whether immersive journalism can accurately represent marginalized communities, and the ethics of documenting poverty, which we see on social media all the time, right? Some guy will walk up to some people, give them something to eat. It's kind of like, do those people want to be filmed? There's always an argument with people watching about how they feel about what they just saw. You know what I mean? So, and it's a very nuanced argument, so it's fair, right?
Absolutely.
Many issues raised were in the film. That there was housing affordability, addiction, and mental health that were at the top of what was talked about as far as what causes it and what's going to cure it, what's going to fix it, a lot of people, politicians, will come forward and say, yeah, we're going to do this. But they don't tell you how that's going to work. And when you try to jump into the details of, can you explain to me, but this, and this, they don't really have an answer for that. And that's what happened at the end, he went up to some politicians at the end and said, "You guys are just blowing smoke. You can't possibly. This is not going to fix anything. It sounds good, but what about this, this, and this?" And he had one guy just walk away, like, "I can't answer that." It's remembered less for providing answers and more for provoking discussion, which is, in my opinion, discussion is always the way to go.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's that. So if you
It's
get a chance to
fascinating
check that out,
that
yeah.
I can't imagine just going out in my underwear and pretending for 31 days like I was homeless. The craziest thing that I did was not anything like that, but people can't believe I did this. But in Australia, I stayed in the outback for 8 days without a tent and just the sleeping bag for 8 full nights.
Oh
And
my
that was pretty
goodness.
bad. Yeah, but they gave me food. It wasn't anything like that, but that was crazy enough for me. And that was in the heat. And I know this was in the cold, but
Right.
that was one of the craziest things I did. But I cannot imagine for 31 days doing this entire documentary. But
I mean, in as a side note, not to go too far into this because we have to move on, but as a woman, it's even worse. It's even worse.
absolutely.
Because women are very vulnerable out in the homeless community. You know what I mean? And so there's a whole extra layer to that
Absolutely.
we probably would have to get into another time. But yeah, for a while, Ron was saying that he was homeless. We have a documentary on Rhode Island Broadcasting called Flower Brother, which I did not know. So we'll have to check that out. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. It is from 2010, so it's a little old. But I don't know that any of the topics in that particular documentary are like outdated. I really don't. It seemed very relevant to me and very current to me, actually. So, and I think it got worse since then. I feel like it's been, you know what I mean? I don't think it was bad then. I think it's worse now. So it's more relevant now for me.
It's bad. Yeah, I lived in just seeing even New York City. I lived in New York City 15 years ago, and the homelessness was definitely bad. But now you see it, and it's so much worse in cities all over the U.S. You see it, and
It is. I mean, for the
horrible.
most part, people are getting priced out of housing entirely, but that's like another story. But yeah, if you get a chance to check it out, Misha Kleider, and it's right underneath me. I'm pretty sure if you look it up, it's called Streets of Plenty, OF Plenty, and it should come up in a couple different places, and I'm pretty sure YouTube is running it for free. At least that's what I found. So check it out. It's a nod to Canada and Canada's homeless population, which we need to look at, and we need to look at in the U.S. as well. It's an example of a learning experience. So
Absolutely.
So we're gonna stop there, and we're gonna get into paying some bills. So we're gonna see some of our sponsors here. We'll be right back.
Looking for a fitness app that actually fits in your life, not the other way around? The Mace Fitness app is your personal fitness coach in your pocket. That's MASE. Mace Fitness app makes fitness simple and affordable. The build your own workout option allows you to choose the exercises, the focus area, and the pace that works best for you. This app feature is only $9 a month. You'll get over 630 guided exercise videos, build your own workout tools, strength, mobility, balance, and flexibility training, easy to follow instructions, fitness anytime, anywhere. Mace Fitness, just $9 a month.
Sometimes you can feel lost in the forest of your mind, caught up in mistakes you can't change, looking ahead, uncertain what comes next, questioning if things will ever get easier, and if you've missed your chance. But the fact is that every moment is a new chance to change and choose a new direction. The fastest way to stop the pain and gain the new insight needed is through guidance from someone who has walked the path before you that can teach you to find your own answers from within. If any of this sounds familiar and you're looking for a way through from where you are to where you long to be, then let's connect. Check out soulspectivesinstitute.com today and book your discovery call, and we can see where we can go from there.
So guess what? That's taking care of the outside, and then after that, how to take care of the inside, inside and outside.
Yep.
1 minute.
Equally important.
Yes, definitely. So let's hear about MacKenzie King. This is pretty interesting.
Yes. So I always do a deep dive like you in the rabbit hole, like you said. I usually look for quirky things because, as I said, I'm pretty quirky. So I look for quirky things, and I found out about a prime minister who is super quirky And I loved researching and reading about him, so I wanted to share about him. So he was known very well, and nobody knew about his private life. So publicly, he was known just as a bachelor. He was he was the longest serving prime minister. He served during World War II, the Great Depression. And he seemed just ordinary and boring to the public eye. He seemed like a good leader. Nobody thought anything of it. And then when he passed away, they found out that he was very quirky and he was very into talking to the dead. So
Interesting.
Yes. So he would do all of these different things because unfortunately for him, this is actually sad. He lost his mother, he lost his brother, and he lost his sister all within a few years. So he had a lot of grief within him.
Wow.
And a lot of people I know who do have a lot of grief they go to the spiritual side and they try to reach out to mediums and they try to figure this out. And that's so normal. And so that's what he was just trying to do. And he had many seances in his house. And he would have a Ouija board. And I
wish I could say I didn't know about that, but I do.
About an Ouija board.
I've actually I've done that.
Oh, of course, me too.
Yeah, we all have. I think is it something we all do as kids, or I don't know.
I think so. I think we all do Ouija boards as kids. I did an Ouija board, and my friends and I, to this day, I still have the same group of friends. It was 5 of us. We swore the Ouija board moved. Who knows if one of us to this day moved it, but we thought someone was talking to us that it moved, but who knew?
Oh my goodness.
But he used an Ouija board all the way back then. And so he was constantly asking for advice from his mother. So he didn't know how to not ask his advice to his mother. So he kept asking for advice to his mother. But he'd also asked to past prime ministers. He would ask them for advice politically. He asked FDR for advice, apparently. He would even ask Leonardo da Vinci for advice.
Da Vinci was a smart guy. He probably had some good advice.
I know, right? Yeah, why not ask? And he even he's tried to speak to his dogs. So he tried to speak to everyone. So first he was starting normally with tea leaves and trying to read how the tea leaves were. And then he saw the alignment of clock bands and he kept going from there. Then he had full-blown secret seances with everyone. When he traveled to London, he would get rid of all the people that would travel with him so he could do this in secret. It was like a full secret life. And he would try to find...
He must have been tired.
I know.
Exhausting.
Right? Like living a secret life does seem exhausting. And this is ruling a country and doing all this in the back and getting rid of everyone. He got rid of so far, like everyone he got rid of so that he could see and find as many spirit mediums as possible in all these countries. And so then he got a Ouija board in his living room that he would use all the time and his friends would use. And he really thought that he was talking and he would ask for political advice through this. So he was ruling through dead people. So we always, sometimes I'm not a political person. People say you can't not be political, but I'm not. And we complain sometimes I know people complain about politics sometimes, but at least nobody is trying to roll through an Ouija board that we know of right now, so this is...
Well, I think Nancy Reagan was, didn't she have an astrologer that she followed? So kind of like that a little bit, I guess.
Yes. So he also, funny, he had a crystal ball. So he had this like absolutely beautiful crystal ball that was on display. And he thought it was actually given by American fans from him. And everyone thought he used this crystal ball. But when he died and they read his diaries, it actually happened. He did not. He just thought it was on public display and he just thought it was absolutely beautiful. And his favorite way to actually reach the dead, which I had to learn about, was with a little table and you talk to them and you tell them to tap the table once If it's yes, tap the table. No, if it's twice, to turn the
Okay.
table. And so he did a lot of table tapping and rapping to speak to the dead, and he really thought that he did.
Okay.
He built an estate outside of Ottawa, and he put stone runes, and he made this whole entire private estate in his yard, and it looked creepy, and some of his staff knew about it, but they were sworn to secrecy. So during this whole lifetime, nobody knew about this. And
Okay.
then he kept diaries of all of his ghost chats and everything that he ever spoke of. And then when he died, everything was found out, and everyone was fascinated, and nobody knew about anything. And he ran Canada for over 22 years, and nobody knew until he died about all.
That's like I'm sure there's books about that, right? I bet. I haven't
it's
looked
just
into it, but I bet.
fascinating.
Because
And
that's like definitely a book. At
Yes.
least one book.
exactly. So it's definitely fascinating to read about it. It's interesting, and he was all into the afterlife and prayed to all different people, and I find that always fascinating. And
It is.
I have a lot of friends that are into mediums and all of that stuff, and it always fascinates me.
That's it. That's who knows what did anybody tell him to do this or that or the other thing? You never know what decisions he made and why. Excuse me.
It's great that dead people ran Canada. Exactly.
I was just thinking the same thing. Like,
and dead dogs, because he asked his dogs for advice too. So that's always good.
If only dogs could speak English.
Oh, I know.
Just
That
never
would be
know.
the biggest wish.
Maybe we would want them to stop, though. Maybe we would just be like, you know what? Never mind.
I know. Maybe they'd talk back, and then we don't need you to talk back too.
I don't know. Yeah, or they would just the thoughts would just be like, oh, well, okay, that's weird. You know what I mean? But I don't know. They should have a right to speak too. So maybe he got some information out of his dogs that was pretty helpful. You never know.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. It's before I get I didn't mean to. I feel like I'm trying to make sure that this is rolling along. But if I ever step on you, yell at me. Tell me. Be like, what are you doing? What we want to do.
I'm not quite the yeller, but I'll scream. Don't worry.
Okay. We wanted to just quickly let you know about our Uganda Fund.
Here at Rhode Island Broadcasting and Going On Daily, we're proud to announce that we are collecting donations for our Uganda Fund. My name is Becky, and I've been one of the hosts here at Going On Daily since day one. And earlier this year, I was blessed with the opportunity to travel to Uganda, and it was honestly one of the most life-changing experiences. I met people who completely changed the way I see the world. I met families who had endured unimaginable tragedies, including these two families who lost young children to a witch doctor. I met children who hadn't eaten in days. We even saw 11 children share a single apple because it's all we had left to give them. I met children who fled war in neighboring countries only to find themselves homeless and living on the streets. I saw heartbreak, poverty, and desperation. But what I also saw was joy, the happiness that a single piece of candy, a bracelet, or a small act of kindness could bring was enough to bring tears to my eyes. These are people who have so little, and yet they have more gratitude and joy than many of us could even imagine. We know that there are people who need help in our own communities, and we continue to support local initiatives whenever we can. But this year, our hearts are with Uganda. In partnership with Love Made a Way, 100% of every donation will go directly to initiatives in Uganda. No hidden fees, no deductions. Every dollar goes to help providing food, clean water, education, medical care, safe buildings, sanitation improvements, schools, vocational training, and hope. $1 is worth roughly 3,700 Ugandan shillings, so even a small donation can make a meaningful impact. Maybe it's giving up your Starbucks or your Timmy's today. Whatever you feel led to give, please know that it will help change lives. Thank you for your support, your generosity, and for helping us bring hope to the people of Uganda. Visit www.rhodeislandbroadcasting.net/Uganda-donations to help out.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's our lovely Becky talking about that. But yeah, definitely, if you can, anything you can spare, a coffee, one coffee for the day. That's all you need, So if you do that, we appreciate it. And so the only other thing I wanted to talk about today for my topic, it's really going to be more about it's YouTube related. It isn't necessarily Canadian. But two movies right now are doing a very interesting, having a very interesting reaction in theaters, and I just thought I wanted to like bring that up. Those two movies, unexpected box office numbers for these movies, because everybody out there remembers the pandemic, right? Where everybody thought like kind of movie theaters were just going to go out of business, or the person going to the movie experience in a theater was kind of going to fade out, and everybody was just going to start watching everything streaming. It's kind of funny because there's two YouTube creators that have created two movies that are like doing gangbusters at the box office, and they're not going through the usual channels that movies would have to go through to get to the big screens. And so it's making people start to wonder if we're not maybe going away, but we're pivoting into a different direction. Now, I personally, as a DJ and as somebody who's into music, I've seen the music industry do this, where there are gatekeepers in the music industry that kind of are no longer necessary. They can be gone around. And sometimes those gatekeepers, in like an example being Weinstein, or as far as the movies are concerned, but with music, whether it be P. Diddy or whoever it is that you have to go past to get your stuff out there, may decide to take advantage of you to get that done. Right. So who knows? Maybe this is a good thing. But anyway, as of June 3rd, 2026, Obsession, that's one of the movies that's out there. It's gained $121.8 million in the United States and Canada. So there you go. There's your Canada, your little Canada, whatever, your connection. $45 million in other territories for a worldwide total of $166.6 million. And that's as of June 3rd, which is, a couple days ago. Obsession was initially projected to gross like 8 to 10 million from 2,615 theaters in its opening weekend, and like it's ridiculously gone over the top on that. So everybody's kind of like, whoa, wait a minute, what's happening here? Because people are leaving their houses for this. The film received positive reviews from critics and has grossed 135 million worldwide total at this time, becoming A24's biggest opening in domestic box office performance. And Kane Parsons, the person who put that together, he's kind of like the youngest filmmaker at this point to reach number one at the box office. Obsession is something I want to see. It looks interesting. I heard it's kind of got a different take. I don't know. There's that Netflix series which I haven't finished. That's like kind of about marriage, but it's sort of a horror movie. It's got a different kind of take. I am enjoying the A24 in the sense that they're changing what the movie is about. They're getting more psychological. They scared the crap out of me and with a few movies already so far, and that's not easy to do for me because I'm a pretty big horror fan.
Me too. It takes a lot to scare me as well, but I love it. I love when I'm actually scared, and that heart racing feeling is the absolute best. But
it is, and I think as you get older, there's been a couple of movies that have like affected me psychologically, and I've decided I actually don't like that. That's like something as a horror movie that I like don't. It actually freaks me out.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna bring up Hereditary on that, and that's all I'm gonna say. That movie, I think it took me a month to turn my lights off after I watched that one. But yeah, I'm sorry. Obsession is Curry Barker, and so made in a reported budget of $750,000 to $1 million. That's crazy. So if you get a chance to see that, that's great. But it's just crazy that people are leaving their house for YouTube creators, right? Because that's, I don't know, it's just a new thing. It came, and so YouTube. There's another YouTube creator that's created a movie called Backrooms, and I'm the type of person who Backrooms got to me, and I didn't see it yet, and I want to see it. But the reason that it I guess triggers me or makes me think of all this urbex that I watch, right? Where people are just like there's a couple of videos online that have been like, we went into this abandoned mall and we found this door under this staircase. Like they go in and like there's just like rooms and rooms and rooms behind this stuff that's just like beige. a couple of chairs, nothing else. But like they're walking through tunnels and all kinds of stuff under malls that, I mean, when you think about what malls used to be,
Yeah.
right? Some of them used to be jails, or they used to be something else, or whatever the case may be. And sometimes they build over these malls and they just close walls off. They don't really do any like demo behind
Right.
what it used to be. So as these malls are dying, there's all these people that are going out there, proper people and a bunch of different types of creators that are just going out with their backpacks and cameras and like just taking pictures of. Well, I appreciate it. A lot of people don't like it, and it's trespassing to a lot of people. But as somebody who grew up Gen X, that stuff is going to go away, and we're going to need some kind of like visual idea of what it was, because a lot of stuff is being removed. So backrooms is kind of a cool like it's kind of a concept of you know, you go through a wall or you go through a door and you end up in this like endless, like what we called a liminal space. What happens when you get back there? Where does it, you know, does it close in on you? Does it go anywhere? Can you find your way back out? That kind of thing. I haven't seen it yet, but like I said, it looks interesting to me.
Yeah, that sounds fascinating to me.
It's
It sounds fascinating to me too. I like movies like that as well.
exactly, you know what I mean? It's kind of like I've actually thought about that. That's something that could happen to you, because you know you could be out there exploring some building that's been abandoned for 10 years.
Absolutely.
And you could walk through a door, and if it's confusing enough, you're not going to know where you came from, how to get back. Usually you have landmarks and things to remind you of where you are, much like, you know, cave dwelling or hunting through caves or whatever. You need like a way to figure out how to turn around and go back the way you came, or find your way back out. And so anyway, that's like a nightmare unleashed for a lot of people, that like they'd just be back there forever and nobody would know it, nobody would find them, you know. But anyway, that's like that movie's done like $118 million at this point, and so that's another movie that's in theaters that's like unexpectedly making a ridiculous amount of money. So I just wanted to bring those up just because it's kind of a shift in the way that box offices work and movie theaters work.
Yeah.
And, you know, producers trying to get their movies out, like this is not, you know, Ridley Scott, this is not you know, whoever you would say, that would be just somebody that, you know, that if once they greenlight it, you know, they're going to get it in theaters, and there's a whole bunch of money along the way that gets handed out to people. And in this case, it's kind of like, what is the ratio from them putting the movie together to what they make for a profit is completely different, because there's not so many big wigs involved in the production of the movie. So
Exactly. Yeah, that's what they said about Obsession, that it was like the best return on investment because it was less than $1 million, and look how much they're making, and it's
right.
crazy, you know?
I mean, it is like, so think about that. Maybe things are not going in the direction we thought they were.
Exactly. Fascinating, and it's so true. And maybe this is a new wave. And
What if it revives theaters, right? I may have friends working in the theater business and marketing and all that kind of stuff. So what if, or in IT, what if this changes the landscape in which like the theaters aren't dying because of non-popular, but they're more dying because the movies that were in them weren't what people wanted, and like now it's maybe moving in a direction where people do want to go see something because it's sourced differently and coming from a different person, or whatever the case may be. But I love it, so I just wanted to bring it up. It could be a shift. We could be taking a left here, and this could be the point of change where everything went different. So
absolutely love it, and we hope for a change because we definitely want to keep reviving the movie theater industry.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's and so that's it. I think we're pretty much almost done here. Did we keep it within the hour? All closing comments on this would be just like, what, you know, how you feel about what we were talking about. Is there any way that we can find you, or your listeners or watchers can find you if they need to?
Yeah, so if anyone wants to find me, my biggest thing on Facebook, my biggest thing is on Facebook, Laura Greenberg Schiller. I am on Instagram on Laura Schiller 257, and my tween girls are trying to get me bigger on TikTok and Snapchat, but I am there, but not quite, you know, I'm still trying to learn it, and learning it through tweens is very interesting and fun, but they are trying their best to teach it to me. So that's where I'm mostly at now. And how about you?
So that's I'm gonna have Ron change that. I do have TikTok at DJ Lena Williams. I also have DJ Lena Williams on Facebook, which is probably not news to anybody who's watching me on Facebook. And I have to remember where every week I have so many notes that I have to remember where I put everything. So I know that I have my Instagram here, but I don't know where it is, and I don't ever know I don't look at it every day. I just use it, so I never remember what my. And I do have I think it's Lena Lee Williams 8668 on my YouTube. But I guess Facebook is where you probably want to find me. So we do have a podcast coming up. It is still in the editing process, and we'll probably we're gonna have a meeting on that tomorrow and probably get that done in the next week or so. So that's nice. Like I said, it's in the can. We just have to frame it and produce it, and he's got to edit it, that kind of thing. And I'm assuming is doing that as we speak. So there is a podcast called Life's Melody. That will be coming out with myself and my buddy Will. And I just wanted to, Laura, you were hoping that we would have a little bit of time for this. I'm going to squeeze it in.
I'm so excited. I was thinking that.
I
was hoping that it was coming in. I'm ready.
In the 90s, I believe, one of those little instant film, little huts that you used to take your film to. I can't remember the name of it. But I think it was a photomat. It was like a little island thing. It was in the middle of like a strip mall that we have in a couple of areas. Those things went out of business, right? Because we ended up getting into digital photography and some whatever. So one of those little huts where you used to be able to drive up and drop your film off and drive away, and then 2 weeks later you would go back and get it or whatever. They'd send you a message. So that's a photomat. They started out with those in drugstores, and then they started putting them in like a drive-through, so you could just kind of go through without getting out of your car. And there were a couple of those left over in Rhode Island. And so at one point, one of them became something called the Condom Hut, which is really funny, right? So anyway, it's a story of Emanuela DeVecco, and she's a Pan Am flight attendant, right? 1992, during the AIDS crisis, DeVecco converted a former photo processing kiosk into a drive-through condom store called the Condom Hut. And this is in Cranston, Rhode Island, not far from me, one town over. And so the film is called Rubber Hut, but it's in filming right now. And so I have a friend who has posted some stuff about it, and I just wanted to bring it up. The film is in process, and they're not done making it yet, but at some point that film will come out and it'll be pretty funny. Because there's a quirky thing for you, because Rhode Island, we're very quirky about a lot of things. If you've watched The Housewives of Rhode Island, you probably know that. But yeah, it's written and directed by Hannah Gray Organshi, and it takes place here, even though the original Condom Hut was located in Cranston. I don't know where they're saying it's going to be in the movie. But yeah, it was early 1990s, and it was around the AIDS awareness era. So the filming is supposed to be a 2-week project in Rhode Island. I don't know how long it's going, or if it's right on schedule. But yeah, it's just a discussion about social change and public health at that time. So be on the lookout for Rubber Hut.
Now we know exactly.
So I just thought I would bring that to you real quick. That was for you, Laura.
Thank you. I appreciate it. The knowledge is power, so I'm glad.
I'm sure you'll go right now and go into a rabbit hole about that.
Exactly.
But anyway, our next episode is tomorrow, and it's with Kenny and Ron. They're doing their usual thing, and for us it's Sunday. I'm not really sure what day it is for you listening to this, but if you want to watch it on Going On Daily, you want to catch that on Sunday. And we're going to thank WDJY for running us, for putting us on the air. Thank Mace Fitness, thank Soul Spectives Institute, and hopefully we will see you guys very soon. It was nice hanging out with you today, Laura, and we'll see you soon.
Same.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
All right. You guys have a great day.
Bye, guys.